code. All right. Great. Welcome to the next session of today's Link Convergence and PermaTalks Day. Next, we have a short session or presentation, or not presentation, really talk, whatever you might call it, by Alexis D Jutras, who is a dear friend of mine and a cool permaculturist currently also living in Finland, or lived in Finland for a very long time. What we will hear, I don't know exactly, so I will leave the stage to you now, Alexi. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lumia. Well, yeah, that's a good question. I had to go back to the peripheral links of what am I supposed to talk about. But no, okay. I'm permaculture embodying as well as personal values. That is a topic that's been quite dear to me. Uh, as it is a little bit uh in the air. What does it mean physically? What does it mean? So I will not really introduce myself so much. It will become apparent as I will share my personal experience through all this and where I am now and what's going on. And so permaculture has a set of principles and ethics in which you get introduced to that helps you shape design or shape your perspective on how to interact with your environment. That's usually used in the more land-based environment. And so if you have a house with the land or with the community or communal area. Within also the permaculture ethics and principles, you are introduced to circles of influence. And so you have your zone 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Embodying permaculture, for me, at least what I've learned through, is that the only way to achieve a certain like symbiosis with it is just to practice. And the more you practice, the more you fail. The more you fail, the more you reflect. And it's a bit like Barbara was saying, it's like you constantly have the circle loops itself consistently, but in reality what happens is that you have to also be able to maintain your psyche. You need to be able to have a very strong sense of self. And I gotta say that I started as a very young man full of passion, wanting to change the world, wanting to practice and so on. And well, reality hits hard. You put a lot of energy into projects, you invest your body, your mind, your soul to ultimately come crashing down. At least that is my case. I participate voluntarily in a regenerative market garden, which got shut down due to lack of funds because the community was not like helping making it happen. I created many gardens for myself and for my neighbors, which ultimately just ended up being abandoned. I worked for 5 years in a market gardening that was a regenerative market gardening, where ultimately, like Barbara said so well, the god of money took all the space, so it was all about money, and so it really is a difficult thing, but ultimately, in order to be able to kind of make it your own, so to for permaculture to become part of you, is the only way is to practice. That being said, I also talked about the fact that in order to repeat the process of practicing, failing, feedback, one one person really needs to have a really strong sense of self and how to regulate oneself. That is something I did not. I lost myself in the process of wanting to make a bigger world, a better world. Burned out once officially, but I never recovered from it. And the previous workplace that I had where money became the only thing that matters, I had to quit due to conflict of interest, and it is really soul crushing. And so, what I'm trying to do through my company, which is a really small company, is to work with the ethics that I've learned, make a living that allows me to pay my bills. And in my case, I'm quite of an extreme person where I try to reduce as much as I can to the very, very bare minimum. And what can I scrape even more? And so I don't heat my house much with electricity. I usually use the wood. I think some of you know, like heating a house with wood is a lot of work, and so you gotta do it. But these are the things that mattered to me where I could feel in a way safe. I could have control from not from my personal self. So I would say within the circles of permaculture, that would be the zone 0, 0. So to have my own psyche safe and healthy. Yes, personal values. So yes, and so I would say that as much as I would really like to, uh, let's just say, work more, I've understood that I need more time for myself. For so I need to work on myself because of previous experience to be healthy again, so that I can give my time and to be of service to my local community. And I would say that this is like embodying the small and slow solutions where I don't try anymore to change the world. I try to change my world, my little world, and my local community. I don't go anymore for the bigger projects. I'm always very happy to hear that people have not stopped for that. I just, at this present moment, through my personal experience, I cannot anymore. And I would say I'm probably not the only one, but maybe this is also a new perspective. I am not, I am an immigrant in Finland. I don't have family. I came here with nothing. And so I am considered a poor person. And so I really need to scrape by in order to make things happen. So yes, there is there's a lot of beauty in practicing permaculture and embodying, but I think it's always good to remember the principle of accepting feedback, getting feedback, and truly getting feedback not from others but from yourself, like accepting the difficulties as they are and keep going. So yeah, mine too short. Quite short.
Well,
What
we
can I
can
say?
discuss a little bit if
Yeah,
you
sure. I mean that works fine if there's I mean, I can also I give example of what's happening with my company, for example, when I say about embodying principles where if I dig garden beds in Finland, we have a mainly clay loam soil. And so when I dig garden beds or I do terraforming, I usually spot where there's clay. Then I separate the clay that I then transform through water separation so I can make clay artisanal stuff. I make clay lamp oil at the moment. I make clay beads. I I make wind chimes. while I do the processing of the clay to use it to make those crafts, I save the water to water my plants. I don't throw it away because there's more minerals that have been in that. While separating also, I separate the clay from the loam or the silt and the sand and the rocks, which I save separately, whether I put back in my garden or I can also use to make pathways or parking lots. And then through the fact that I have processed clay at the moment, I am able to offer clay course, which is going to happen next month at a very low fee because I don't need to have inputs. It's a process that have many outputs. For example, that is a way that I would say like embodying permaculture is that you see all those possibilities, like you broaden your perspective and you see all the different little things you can do. And another example I cut firewood. I cut all size of wood to heat my house from small to the trunk. And well, the wood can be used to do woodcraft. And so I do woodcraft. And then with the wood shavings, I can do other things. I can do smoking for meats and fish. I can also use for pathways for the garden. I can use it in my worm composting. Worms love it. And so I mean, this is a process. I've been kind of practicing and failing for 8 to 9 years. So it gets there. And this is not even the end stage. I'm somewhere. I don't think there's ever gonna be an end stage, but I'm on the path of just, I would say, like living the permaculture life very slowly. Okay. That's anyone want to ask something or question maybe or an observation?
Yeah, anyone, just think about it. I have to just say, thanks so much so far. It's like something that I've always also noticed is like, well, I guess Bill Mollison said it too, no? So the permaculture is information and imagination intensive, no? So, and that's really it. And like since I grew up rather poor as well, and I've learned like from a young age that you need to solve problems creatively, because if you don't have the money to solve them, like solving problems with money is the easy solution usually, but then if you need to use creativity and think about it like you are doing with the clay, like from one task comes a lot of tasks, but it gives like huge amounts of input. uh, I always find that so inspiring. Nowadays it just seems that everything's being solved with putting more money into whatever it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, I agree. And that is a topic that's quite tricky because I mean we do live in a system where money kind of can get you anywhere you want, but at the same time it kind of takes away, for me at the very least, I would say it takes away so much connection that at this point I just cannot ignore it anymore. I cannot just say, "Oh yeah, I'll buy something." It's quite the opposite now. It's more like, "Oh, I need to do something. I need to do another thing." So, you know.
Oh, anyone else? Well, while people are thinking about the questions, can you just share a little bit more about your tiny business? What was the original idea that you wanted to do, and what kind of services are you offering now, or like kind of activities are you doing?
Well, Taitava Neropatti, the talented wise guy, is my company, and I created this company in order to be able to offer my services through many ways. So there is the financial aspect, and so for some people that, let's say, would want to have a certain things done, I can do it for a certain rate, which is a thing. I have also like a program or like an offer where if people want to grow food, then we can work together. I don't do it all, but we can work together and I get only a percentage of the yield if there is a yield. And so there is incentive on my part to make it successful, and it also would not leave the person as well feeling like they have to do it all by themselves. And so it is kind of an incentive for people to take the time to grow their own food and also not necessarily to be sustainable, but to be resilient, just to have this extra food in your storage that you can say, if there's something that happens, if I run out of money, I have this. And so it's free. It's basically free. And I am currently working on a similar model, but for community-based thing, and I will try to do that for in here in Sipo. So it's the county that I live in, which is between the capital city of Helsinki and another big city called Porvo. So I'm living on the edge of cities. And that's going on, but that is a really, it needs to be well detailed, let's just say. And of course, in every services that I offer, if people have something to give me that have value, then I can give discount accordingly. I have taken firewood as a part of payment. I have taken apples as part of payment. I do a lot of barter. I try to offer barter. That is definitely catching the eye of some people, but it is also quite odd. I would say people are not used to do barter a lot. Um, I take sheep wool part of payment as well that I transform into yarn and into garments. I mean, uh, I need money, but I don't need that much to live. So I try to, let's say, be of service for the people that don't have as much money. That's my goal, really, with my company and where I am right now. There is
That's
no
that's
link
so great.
to my company. I don't use social media. It's all word to mouth. It's all about me going to marketplaces, showing my crafts, having an album with all my projects in picture. I don't do social media. I cut I cut all, like I said, I cut all my services. I don't have internet barely. I don't use electricity as minimum as possible. I try to grow my own food. I don't drive my car. So it's all about like me being out there, all my marketing, making work for a person, that person talks to another person, doing the ice skating, cleaning the road without asking, just cleaning the road during winter just to help a neighbor. But that's the way I think is kind of for me.
Well, that's really inspiring, I guess. Um, all of us live different kinds of lives, and it's really cool to hear about your path and where you are right now on it. No? So it's really great. Okay, everyone, last chance now to ask or comment or say something, write something.
Mm.
I guess everyone is in awe and in silence. So
Or
thank you,
thinking.
Alexi.
Thinking is
Uh,
great. Pondering.
True, indeed. So thank you.